So I have skipped ahead a step here, and so I'm going to just retrace my step to the beginning. So if you have a printout, and we're at the moment doing text, so put your text behind your screen, that's the flat side down on the table, and trace it using a blunt soft pencil. So my pencil is a 3B, so anywhere from a 2B upwards up to 6B would be great. So it doesn't have to be very, very blunt, but a little bit blunt so it doesn't pierce through the screen. So trace all the letters. You don't need to stick the paper to the screen. It should hold nicely enough when it's flat on a table. Now, next step is to go over the letters with drawing fluid. I've already done one layer, so I'm going to do a second and even a third layer. I ended up doing a third layer, and even at that it looked like it probably could have done with another layer, but there's only so much time we have. So it's a funny material to work with, as you'll feel. It doesn't perfectly sit where you want it to, so it's ideal then to do the second or third, even third layer. Once you've done the first layer, what you could do is use a hairdryer to dry it quite quickly, and then it will be still tacky. So do spend a bit of time with the hairdryer. Don't do a quick blast. Spend a bit of time, a few minutes, and you'll see that it's still tacky and it'll look shiny, but it's not going to get any more dry than that. So then go over it with your second or third layer. And if you've time, what I did was I sort of pottered throughout the day, and I left it for a few hours to dry naturally, and then just gave it a little blast to the hairdryer. So you'll see there with the shine, that's as dry as you'll get it. So I'm just showing you that so you know what to expect. So then once that's dry, we want to put on our masking fluid. I've lifted the screen up a little bit by putting a roll of tape underneath on one side. You could put it on both sides if you want, but one side is quite comfortable. It's easy to use. So that sort of terracotta masking fluid. Now we are using the De La Rowney screen printing kit, but you could use other brands. You could use, I think Speedball have a kit as well. So I'm using the Squeegee now, and you're really wanting to just drag it and cover it, but drag it lightly because you don't want to disrupt that text that you've put down with the drawing fluid. And you don't need to cover the whole screen, just a good space either side of the writing, or if it's an image, same thing, good space on top, because later, once this particular masking fluid is dry, we will we'll be putting the ink at the top there. So I'm dragging it then over the text. So that's the masking fluid or block, screen block, dry. So I just wanted to show you again the texture there. As you can see, I would give it a little blast of the hairdryer as well before I went to clean it off. So what I'm doing here is, this is so handy to use at home, so I put it in the bath and use the shower head to blast off the drawing fluid. So the drawing fluid is water soluble, and that screen block isn't water soluble. It's quite tough to get off, so it's the perfect combination to create your screen printing. So your screen is pretty much ready now to print once that's dry. Now I dried it with a hairdryer. You could just dry it naturally as well, or you could be very carefully pat it dry. This is just to do it quickly. So again, I've lifted it up on one side with a tape underneath just to give space for the air to go through. Now so we're getting down to printing. I've used the screen printing medium. You have two mediums in your kit. You have one for fabric or pure screen printing. So I asked you to get jars with lids on. So in your jar, put in a good amount of the printing medium and then put in your paint. So you start off with the printing medium and then put in the same amount of paint. So from paint to medium ratio should be 50%. So half and half. And so then using your palette knife, this was ink that I'd already mixed, using your palette knife, put it above your image or your text, the ink, and then you're going to drag it down with a squeegee. And this is just, as they say, flooding, that's the term they use, flooding the screen with the ink. So that's before we start to print. Excuse me. And now I'm going to take that roll of tape from under the screen and lay it down flat. It's actually quite a cheap piece of cartridge paper, whatever you have to hand, just do a test print. Excuse me. So that particular angle that I was using there with the squeegee is quite a sort of scrapey angle, so like a 45-degree angle probably. So get yourself in a bit of a rhythm in terms of figuring out how to put lots of ink on or how to scrape ink off. Just do a bit of test with that. So there we go. Thank you.